Hi, good morning. I'm with Ibrahim of the Great Autistic CIC today, and really pleased because he's one of our self-employment graduates, and it's always great when we get one of the graduates in to explain a little bit about their company. I'm just going to start you off. I'm just going to ask a little bit about you, Ibrahim, you, and a little bit about your background, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for inviting me to conduct this interview today. I really appreciate it as well. So a bit about myself is I'm a young autistic person who have struggled throughout my whole education journey. And even with me, I've also been working on and off for, I would say, around for over 6 years now, working with young people with autism and children with special educational needs as well. And even as well as that, I am SEN myself as well. And main thing that I really enjoy about working with people with autism is that they're generally not afraid to say how they feel about many things as well. And that I would say has been really a big point for me. And I've noticed to see so many people with autism who've gone through similar struggles as I have been through as well. And I love to create something that will ensure that all of us get the support that we need that a lot of us didn't get
I think
at
that's
all.
great. I mean, and you know, I love the name of your company, the Great Autistic CIC. I think it does what it says on the tin. But could you explain to other people exactly what is your business? What is the Great Autistic CIC?
So the Great Autistic CIC is a new community interest company that I've set up, and also I would say Andy has been a really big instrumental uh, person who has helped me pick up the confidence to register the CIC, and I must say a lot of thank you to him as well because he's been really helpful. And with the Great Autistic CIC, the aim of the organization is to focus on the education element of supporting people with autism, as well as also providing social activities and also other events as well to bring the autistic community together, and also uh, to try and raise awareness of autism to the wider community, those who are neurotypical as well.
I think that's really good. And I was speaking to Andy earlier on, and my understanding is you also started at this time. You worked with a school of working with some of the children already. Have I got that right? Have I done my research right?
Yeah, in a preschool, and I've also worked in youth clubs already as well. Yes, and I did that as a separate thing to the CIC, but it is something from all that experience that I've learned. That's why I've set up the CIC to ensure that I could run my own projects in the way that I feel like is going to be set with the taking in consideration of the views of the future service users and etc. as well.
And I mean, I think this is really important because a lot of the people who come to us, it's their own personal experiences that motivate their businesses. And I get from you is it is your autism and how you have been treated in the past, how that you want to
Yes.
make things better. So I presume that's one of your great motivations of why you started the business.
Well, exactly because with me, I care so much to the point I just don't want any of this to happen to anybody else. And with myself, I would say the things that I've been through going through school, I've been through a lot of bullying. I've been through a lot of the teachers weren't understanding what support I need as well. They see me masking my autism, but in reality, masking for me, I've did too much of as well, and I need to not mask anymore. I need to be showing that, look, I'm proud to be autistic. I am great as who I am as an autistic person as well. And I want to show that sort of energy to the other people who are neurodiverse.
I mean, what advice would you give to other people like yourself? You know, you're saying that you had to mask. I mean, and that must be awful if you're having to mask who you are. I mean, what advice would you give to other people in a similar situation?
Be yourself.
Good.
That's as simple as it is. Be yourself. Don't mask. Feel feel like that if you have anybody that you can trust to speak to, feel free to speak to that person as well and see what sort of help and support that you need as well. And it is difficult to find people who you can trust to talk about how you're feeling and also how, and what steps to take to overcome a lot of those challenges.
And at the minute with your Great Autistic CIC, you are working, aren't you, with some schools already? How is that going?
So I'm not actually working with any schools at the moment, but I have been speaking to counselors and I have delivered a workshop to a education provider in Sutton as well to deliver the workshop on autism, employment, and entrepreneurship, and that has been going fairly that talk have gone fairly well as well, but I would say with me is that I do eventually want to start working with schools to ensure that the schools are held accountable and ensure that they know their responsibilities when it comes to supporting people with special needs. They feel like, okay, let's take in this special needs child because that means more money for the school, more funding for the school to get more money. And a lot of schools that I've realized they don't really um, taking the mental well-being of the students as well, and that I think is really important for the student to flourish, but also the educational providers and institutions to be able to show a good reputation for themselves as well.
I think you're borrowing a little bit of what from where we go with supported employment. So supported employment is very much about placing people into work, but putting a support strategy there. And I think what you're saying quite eloquently is that what schools should be doing is, yes, by all means, they're given extra money for SEN students, but they need to be spending that money on being able to support that individual properly. And my understanding is this is where the Great Autistic CIC could actually help schools in actually what I would call a support strategy for them. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. To look into a support strategy for them. But my priority is always going to be what the individual wants. It will never be about what the school wants. The school's responsibility to be able to put that support in place. And it's a shame. I understand schools are struggling with influx of so many different issues, but it is important. But they're not going to look at that. It's just important that they provide that support as well.
Mm.
Like with me, for example, I've been to a sixth form to do A levels, for example, and I didn't get the necessary support that I needed. They said that, oh, I will have to come back after school for me to get all that support. And even I didn't really get the necessary um help for nearly 2 years. And because it was adding to my anxiety, I left within 2 years. I left even before the exams, just before, I would say a month or two before the exams exam season has already started.
If you were talking to a school, what would you say to a school about what are the benefits of having that really good support strategy for a pupil like yourself in actually doing 2 years, but then not sitting your A levels? I mean, what would you say to that school why this is important?
In terms, if you could elaborate a bit more.
Well, I'm thinking the fact that you spent 2 years and the school wasn't looking at your autism and therefore it was making you upset. It was actually not helping you. And eventually you left before your A levels and you would have been
Yes.
capable of doing the A levels. So, what would you say to a school about the fact that if you can put a really good support strategy in for the student, what's the benefit for the school?
I would say I'm going to slightly go in, I'm going to indirectly answer your question because even for myself, I was in a large classroom full of people and that wasn't helpful for me. And I would say even for that is that it wasn't until I went to a special school that was really helpful because I did one-to-one or I either did a small I was in a small class and it was very helpful for me to learn as an individual. And so already that one-to-one support was already there. Plus, I also had rest breaks during my exams as well later on after I left that place, and also be able to uh, gather my thoughts, and I had that flexibility of what time I wanted to do lessons as well. And those are things that schools should be looking into, and also look into possibly doing a reduced timetable as well. So the SEN student um, wouldn't be overwhelmed with everything and be able to structure things bit by bit as well.
So part of what the Equalities Act is that bit around saying that, to allow you to have those reasonable adjustments. And what you're
Yes.
saying there, Ibrahim, is if I'd have been given those reasonable adjustments, then I would have been able to thrive a lot more than I did.
Exactly.
And so I think this is where your Great Autistic CIC is coming in. It's saying, okay, we know how hard it is for you to make those reasonable adjustments, but I am the man who can help you do that. Is that correct?
Yes, yes. And however, I still have a long way to go, and I'm still learning through the process as well.
Okay, I'm going to go on to that because you've done really well. You've formed the Great Autistic CIC and you've got a very clear mission of what you want to do. So I'm going to ask you a little bit about what your successes have been so far.
So I would say my successes has been, I would say me learning the social media side of things pretty quickly, even though I'm still learning as I'm going along. But it was really good to try and learn the social media side of things pretty quickly, and also learning how to I'm slowly getting better at organizing myself and organizing this plan, that plan, and also getting things ready in terms of trying to, and I've been learning also a lot about how to apply for funding to be able to start running those activities as well.
Trust
And
me,
I
I've
would
been doing it a
say,
long time to apply for funding. It never gets easier, but it's about having the right idea and the right mission, which I believe your company does have.
thank you.
Um,
Even
yes,
with
sorry.
my, oh, sorry, even with myself, I would say my challenges is to be able to find additional supporting directors to be able to uh, apply for funding to start running some really great, good projects that will benefit the community. finding a permanent hub space to be able to start running those activities. And a thing is that with me, I need to get better at organizing myself as well and be able to build more confidence to start raising awareness and speaking to more people about the Great Autistic CIC, and also to start using the social media side of things regularly, because
Which social media, if people were wanting to find you on social media, where would they find you?
so on Instagram, the name is the Great Autistic CIC 1, so the number 1. And on TikTok, it's just the Great Autistic CIC. And on LinkedIn is the Great Autistic CIC as well.
Okay, we'll make sure in the video we get the links actually in there so people can see that, and they can see what you're doing. And do you're saying you're now using it quite regularly, the social media? You're getting used to it, are you?
I still need to get better at using it regularly. I'd be very honest here, but I am slowly trying to get used to the hang of it, I would say, in terms of especially TikTok. I don't have a personal TikTok account, so I, I've just been learning as I'm going along as well.
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit like this, and we'll make sure your video is available for all of those platforms if we can get them on, or move it into the YouTube space. So we'll make sure that people can see you. And what are your plans for the future?
The plans of the future is to do, hopefully, this is going to be big, ambitious plans, by the way, to start doing projects like homework clubs and art clubs in other parts of the UK and hopefully in the country as well, to be able to start doing collaborating with other organizations as well to ensure that they learn more about autism and that they also be able to know how to run their workplace to be as disability friendly as possible as well, and to also be able to find to also be able to, I would say, to expand to maybe more social media and to also hopefully hire people to be able to start running some activities as well.
That's good. I'm going to go a little bit back. You talked about Andy and was
Yes.
giving Andy a pat on the back, but people might not know exactly how you started, and the fact that we at Status do have this sort of self-employment enterprise course, and we have an enterprise facilitator. What would you say about that service for yourself?
Compared to many places that I've been to ask for help, I would say Status Employment, especially Andy, has been very, very supportive. And he sits down with you, he go through things step by step as well. And he's very calm, very relaxed, and he makes you have that belief to believe in yourself as well. And I and even me, I've been through ups and I've been through downs, and and Andy was really there to try and encourage the positivity as well. And I would say, for me, if I could give 1 million out of 1 million, I would give 1 million out of 1 million.
Brilliant. Ibrahim, thank you so much. And I am sure the Great Autistic CIC is going to go on for strength and strength, mainly because of your character and your belief in
Thank you.
yourself, and the fact that you have something that actually really does work, and that's around a support strategy for young people. So thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much. I really appreciate it.